Today we have a special show for you. We have, of course, Mr. Gentry Jeevers on, member of the Breakaway USA team, and we have a special guest, Kevin Phares, who is a radio host and the host of Speechless with Kev. Now, let me tell you a little bit about Kevin. He's a 23-year-old Catholic conservative activist and the host of Speechless with Kev. Now, he had a passion from a young age for patriotism and preserving the fundamental ideas of America through his time in scouting, where he ultimately earned the rank of an Eagle Scout. He became he began to work in politics by helping his local party with municipal elections during his high school years. Now, when he got to college at Illinois State University, he founded the Turning Point USA chapter, where he served as a president until he graduated this year, 2023. Sorry, last year. He got a dual degree in marketing and political science. He works with Turning Point USA. He's earned the Campus Warrior Award for his tenacity in advancing conservative principles. And outside of politics, Kevin enjoys listening to and playing music. So make sure you check out his YouTube channel, Speechless with Kev. It's I've watched a few episodes and I'm very impressed. Love the way you speak about things and with the tenacity that you have. So welcome, Kevin. That's very true. Sometimes Gentry tells the truth so much, the social media networks can't handle him, and they have to give him a pow pow. I don't think
So,
LinkedIn
I,
has knows how to shadow ban yet.
so I've had a couple posts removed from LinkedIn already, and it's been for bogus reasons. Censorship on Instagram is weird. A lot of people are experiencing this. I think even Fabian has this too, where if you try to go follow us, it'll say, "Hey, are you sure you want to go follow this person because they are responsible for spreading misinformation," which is pretty much a way to say, "Hey, you should follow this person because we're telling the truth." Um, my content can't really be seen by new people. So I'm kind of stuck in my 40, I think I have 45,000 followers now. So I'm kind of stuck in that bubble, which isn't bad because I love everybody who follows me. So I'm trying to get out a lot of really good content for them. Um, my stories get terrible views. I mean, the censorship thing, and Kevin, I don't know if you've experienced a lot of censorship with your content because you're kind of out there, especially on YouTube. Like, what's it been like for you? Mm. Hmm.
Yeah, that's
Hmm.
exactly why we chose to not focus on YouTube specifically because we didn't want one day for us to log on and we're gone. I mean, it's happened to Gentry, it's happened to myself. When we know what it's like, and you have to rebuild that. So that's why we're even though it's harder to grow on other platforms such as Rumble, for instance, because it's not as user friendly or as known. for longevity purposes, yeah, obviously be on YouTube, but obviously be everywhere else as well, just so you don't have all your eggs in one basket.
Hmm. Right, right.
Absolutely.
Well,
Yeah.
that's part of the reason why we started Breakaway, is to bring people together who were doing similar things so we could collaborate and help each other. Right? We can cross market, we can cross pollinate, we can help with some technology things, help with some marketing things, and just build out this distribution network so we can distribute the truth, because that's really what the main goal is. So, Kevin, do you want to talk a little bit about your radio show and introduce our audience
Yeah, and also we
to
got
that?
David just popped on. David,
Oh,
can you hear
Hey,
us?
David.
There he
hey,
is.
what's up? What's going on?
How are you, David?
Good. It's good to meet y'all.
Hmm.
Mm.
Right. Hmm. Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
I think we
So,
all kind of play that role in our own individual uh, personalities, yourself, myself, and Gentry, because we are in that space and we do have to deal with the ramifications of what we say. Because if you don't say anything, they can't say that you said it because you didn't.
mm,
People don't really understand what it's like being on this side, dealing with censorship, dealing with just every single day, dealing with something new, and trying to figure out how to get the news to people by getting around the sensors that they have pre-programmed. So you're like a ninja trying to sneak around to get people the information that they need. So it's very interesting being on this side.
Kev is the news ninja. Well, that's your new nickname, man. The news ninja.
That's a great name. Hmm.
No, but it is interesting, Fabian. You're spot on, because like whenever I get fact checked, I always look at how the post is doing, and sometimes I delete it, because and this seems like I'm losing battles, because I am, but the way that I look at it is I'm losing battles to win wars.
Yep.
I'm not big enough like a Charlie Kirk or Matt Walsh or one of these guys that I can go ahead and get media about it and try to, pressure people into removing the strike or removing whatever it is. And so we have to we have to play this game until we hit critical mass.
Yep.
Otherwise, we're just going to get silenced. And it does suck because there's these really fine guardrails that we have to like play within. We stretch it a little bit, but it sucks. It really sucks.
Yeah. If I think if, or not if, but when it's not even an issue of the UI of Twitter or X. It's just the type of people that use Twitter are not the same types of people that are spending all day on Instagram.
Mhm.
I wish that was the case because the transition would be so much more smoother. And I'd say, screw Instagram. I'm on X all day long. Come see me there. And I see Elon making iterations to it to make it better and easier for people to use. So I have high hopes for the future of it.
Mhm.
But in the meantime, you got to deal with what we have to deal with.
Absolutely.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so, Kevin, you are from Illinois, right?
Yep, born and raised, suburbs of Chicago, and then I lived throughout my college years. I lived in basically the center of the state in Bloomington Normal.
And how did you? So I saw that you got into politics when you were in high school or college. Well, I mean, really like got into it, not.
Yeah,
just-
so I started off in high school. I was in an AP government class, and I had a teacher in that who, and I really had no fascination. I was not raised in a political family by any means. Like directly, like we never really talk about the kitchen table issues as much, or even candidates. I was raised in a family where it was a lot of values stuff. So like my mom came from a family that didn't necessarily have as much, and so but she worked really hard to be able to get us some of the best schools, amazing house, an amazing community, everything like that. And so that's the kind of values I was raised with: is you work hard and you succeed. If you work hard and keep your nose to the grindstone, you'll get where you want to be. And so then I got into high school and I had this AP government class, and my teacher was a little bit more liberal, and he would start talking about like one time he was like, when we were researching different things for one of our projects, we were talking about biased sources. And this was like 2015, late 2015, maybe early 2016. And I'll never forget, he said, CNN is a relatively unbiased source. Now, if you go back to like maybe 2000-ish, like they're still biased. They're still biased, but not nearly as much. But we're in 2015 at this point, 2016. That was when they really started showing their true colors so much more, and anti-Donald Trump, Russian collusion, all that kind of crap. Trump's a racist, all the lefty talking points. That's really when they started showing. And so I was like, I don't really believe that to be true. My sister at the time was majoring in broadcast journalism, and so like I would talk to her about the news a little bit, and so I was like, oh, like I feel like there's bias pretty much everywhere, no matter where you go. And so when he said that, I was like, I really need to start looking into things. So I kind of looked into both the party stances just on my own. I started looking into different podcasters and like listened to some NPR stuff. I listened to Ben Shapiro at the time, a little bit of Charlie Kirk. And I was like, man, like I really resonate with the side that says work hard and you'll get to where you want to be. And it doesn't matter the color of your skin, your sexuality, if you're a man or a woman, if you believe that you're somewhere in between or something, anything like that. If you work hard, you'll get to where you want to be. And that was the conservative side of things. And so that's what really started getting me into it. I worked with our local party. I went to mainly our local Republican Party in the suburbs of Chicago. And I got to listen to some candidates. I worked in some municipal elections, knocking doors, getting to know some of the candidates, working on youth outreach for one of our mayoral races, a lot of that kind of stuff. And then, so I was just learning that. A lot of that time was just learning basic level of the political process. And in that time, I met somebody through Turning Point USA who was the field rep. And he was like, you should start a chapter when you go to Illinois State. Because I was a senior in high school at the time. He said, when you go to ISU, go and start a chapter. And I was like, I don't know, man, I'll be a freshman. And I had a lot of the similar mindset of, man, do I really want to speak out like that? Is that really where,
especially as a freshman, without just being brand new to the system?
Exactly. And I
That
was,
takes a lot. Yeah.
and he really convinced me. He was like, no, like, it'll be great. I'll help you through it all. And so I did. I started it from basically day one of my freshman year at ISU, continued that through my senior year. Actually, when I was starting up the chapter, I was hanging up posters. I was looking for different members and like put my email on there, like, hey, reach out to me if you're interested in joining, maybe being in a leadership position. And one day when I was doing that in our political science building, a professor approached me. I could only tell that he was a professor based on his apparent age by the way he looked. And he said, "What are you doing?" And I was like, "Oh," I explained to him, trying to start this chapter. And he told me to enjoy hell. He did. And I was wearing my cross. I've been wearing this cross since high school. And I was wearing my cross. And I was like, sir, like, that seems like really inappropriate. And I would appreciate if we could have a conversation about why you would say something like that to a student. And he scurried away towards his office. And so I kind of followed him and found where he went to his office. I knocked on the door and I said, "Sir, if you're not going to like talk to me about this, then I'm going to go to your supervisor and let them know that you told a student to enjoy hell."
Good.
So yeah, and
Savage.
Good, as you should.
he didn't say anything. I could hear typing going on in the office he was obviously flustered. And so I went to take a picture of the nameplate by his door so that I could remember who he was. And as I took out my phone and was going to do that, he opened the door. It seemed like he was checking as to whether or not I was still there. And he grabbed my arm and tried to take my phone away from me. And when he couldn't get my phone, he put his leg out in front of me and hip tossed me.
No way.
Yeah.
And this is your first, and you're a freshman. You're just
This was Veterans Day
A
2019.
teacher assaulted you?
Yeah, when
Damn.
Veterans Day 2019. And it was like that moment where I was like, okay, I'm not going to shut up. Like, I'm not going to stop.
yeah.
But what ended up happening with that is another teacher professor had heard the commotion. He came into the area. He didn't see it, but he came into the area and he was like, "What's going on here?" And I was like, "This MFer just assaulted me for my political beliefs."
Wow.
Like, what the heck? I was in shock, man. I'm not even kidding you. I was in shock. And then,
Yeah, of course,
and
especially being a freshman. Like,
yeah. And so
this is supposed to be the people that I came here to learn from, and he just judo threw me.
yep,
Like,
exactly. Exactly. And
That's
so the other
crazy.
professor was like, "Okay, I didn't see what happened, but you guys should go your respective ways. And if you feel like you need to contact the authorities, then you should do that." And so that's exactly what I did. I went to my separate ways. I contacted the authorities, our local PD or our school PD, and they had asked me if I wanted to press charges. And this is probably, if I have any regrets from college, that would probably be one of them. As I decided not to press charges because I was just, like I said, I was just a freshman. I was just I had no idea what I was going into. They took my statement. They did everything through that. They asked if I wanted any kind of like repentance from him, and I was like, I want an apology, and I want a meeting with the president of the university. So I got my apology in front of his supervisor. He gave me an apology, and he had this long drawn out thing like this was a lapse in judgment, and I'm like, yeah, it was kind of a big lapse in judgment, but okay.
Like, yeah, there was a lot of missteps there, right? There was a lot of steps like, oh, like, like how many like decisions does it take to assault somebody randomly in the hallway?
Well, not only that, but being a member of the staff to a student who you're supposed to be a caretaker of.
Yep.
Right.
That's literally like a doctor willingly giving someone the medication that's going to hurt them. That's a violation of the Hippocratic Oath. In that sense, that's exactly what he did.
Yeah. And so he even went through, he brought out his student evaluation forms. I'm not even kidding you. He brought out his student evaluation forms and he's like, look at how positive my student evaluation forms are. To which I told him, like, maybe they're only that way because people know that they only take your classes if they agree with you.
Yep.
Maybe.
Holy moly.
And
so do you feel like that made you, after that point, after everything that happened, do you feel like it made you kind of untouchable where they're like, all right, you guys, like, don't mess with him? Or was it
kind of a little bit at the university to an extent? I mean, what happened was I basically, because I told them, he at the end of it, they were like, do you have anything to say to him? And I was just like, like a lot of people would probably take this and say like, man, like I should I should step back. I shouldn't be involved in this. Like, it could be a threat to my safety. But I told him, I was like, no, like, you're going to know who I am and you're going to see me on this campus for the next 4 years. And I hope it makes you, every time you do, it makes you miserable.
What's his
Kevin,
name?
every book you
What's
write
his
from now
name?
on, yeah, I was about to say, just dedicate it to him. Say you awoken the monster inside me. So thank you
Yeah.
for allowing me to convert tens of thousands of people to my side for that hip toss.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
And unfortunately in the police report too, I forgot about this one. So I FOIA'd for the police report of it. And in the police report, he claimed that he was justified in his actions because I had threatened him.
Of course.
The closest thing to a threat I said was, hey, you told me to enjoy hell. I'm going to talk to your supervisor about this. There was no threat of violence, anything. Like, it just absolute victim card. Like, that is the liberal mentality in a nutshell, is you assault me physically. You lay a hand on me and somehow you're still the victim.
That's leftist 101.
Yep.
No matter what you do, always claim
real
victim
story,
victimhood.
dude.
Real
Holy
thing that happened.
moly.
Yep. And
because you were starting a turning point chapter at your college, you got assaulted by a teacher.
Yes.
That is wild.
Yep. That wasn't the only assault that happened on my campus either. When I was running Students for Trump in 2020, one of my members was physically assaulted by another student.
Oh my gosh.
And so, I could find it for you guys, but we had the video footage of that. That ended up Turning Point Action when they were heading up Students for Trump. We sent them the video of the assault and that went viral.
I'm sure.
Imagine being so out of your mind that you physically assault somebody because they think differently from you.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it takes a certain kind of person to actively physically assault someone just because you don't like their opinion.
Mm-hmm.
Like, even if someone called me, I don't know, whatever, a racist, bigot, I would never want to assault them.
Yeah.
Because I don't take offense to that because I know it's a lie, but they feel like if someone supports Trump, that it's like killing their soul inside and everything that they are. That's a cult.
No.
When you feel like someone else is a threat to that extreme, that's a cult mentality.
It absolutely is. And you see it all the time on a college campus. So, like, those are just like the biggest stories I ever had when it came to what happened on our campus. However, like, any time that I would table for Turning Point in general, I would have some fascinating interactions with people. I mean, the amount of times I got called a Nazi, a fascist, a racist, a sexist, a homophobe, a transphobe, anything like that. I too many to count. And for the most part, my response to anybody like that was always, God bless you. God bless you. To which there'd be some people that would just walk away and that was fine. I thought the most culty mentality, though, was when I would have people that would respond and they'd go, God doesn't exist. And I think about that situation in depth to the fact of they are so brainwashed, essentially, to where I offer them, even if you're not religious, I offer them a non-denominational. I'm not stressing like my Catholic God blesses you or anything like that. Like, I'm not anything like that. No, it's a non-denominational well wish or a good tiding to the point of which they won't even accept that. They are so angry about it that they respond to me and say, God doesn't exist. Like that is a cult mentality right there. You cannot even expect or accept a well wish from anybody because you are in a firm belief in the city of your head. You live in such a narcissistic and tunnel vision mind view or worldview that you cannot accept somebody else's belief and understand the deeper meaning of what I said to them.
Mm-hmm.
And that's really where the cultish mentality comes to. I mean, I'm also a firm believer. If you don't want to engage with me, I'm not going to force you to.
Right.
I'm not going to force you to. I'm not saying, hey, you who's obviously got your headphones in and is walking past and seems to have your head in your phone and doesn't want to talk. You have to come over and talk to me. I don't go grab them and say, you have to come over and talk to me about why America is the greatest country on earth. No, I don't do that. I'm there for conversation. That's the thing is
Mhm.
let's talk it out, because the way you get rid of bad ideas is by rooting them out and by challenging them with good ideas. So
Yeah. Well, but also by not backing down from confrontation too, because in a lot of ways, like I bet you there's a ton of people who hold our beliefs. In fact, I know this to be true because we're called the silent majority. There's a ton of people who hold our beliefs and who will never waver, but they're just scared of confrontation. And so, I mean, I applaud you for going and tabling, because in a lot of ways, you're inviting it and you're standing up to it and you're saying, hey, like, you can't silence me. And I'm not even trying to silence you. We're just trying to have a conversation.
Yeah.
exactly.
I mean, the way I see it is like, if I saw the same exact situation that you were in, but it wasn't you, it was some blue-haired, whatever, leftist, super communism, Marxism 2.0, whatever. There is no way that I would just go and start screaming random stuff at them. That's just I don't think normal people do that. Number one, they probably just walk by, or if they ask them to talk, yeah, like we'll talk because let's see what you think and why you think, without automatically going to screaming and throwing temper tantrums just on sight of you without even knowing anything about you, right? Like you never know if maybe they'll be your best friend, but they can't even get that far because they just go to automatic leftist extravaganza mode right away.
Absolutely. Well, and
Well,
that's the liberal privilege that you can see on pretty much any college campus in most of the public sphere, is that if you were, you would see, honestly, if you counted the amount of times that people tabled on a college campus, much more it's conservatives. Why?
mhm,
Because liberals don't need to. Their messages are being talked about in the classroom
mhm,
in a positive light. They have no need to table. Occasionally you'll see college Democrats out during an election year or something like that, but that's about it.
uh-huh,
They don't need to go table once, twice, 3 times a week to try to get their message out there. And
Yeah.
look,
mhm,
I'm not complaining about it. I had a lot of fun doing it, and I have some great stories to tell because of it. Honestly, like you said, I'll probably write a book about it. But the point being is that's a liberal privilege. You don't have to worry about your viewpoint being shared at all, or
mhm,
being because the times that I heard a conservative viewpoint in a classroom from a professor, it was always in a negative view. Not once did I ever really hear it in a positive view. Actually, I'm sorry. There was one time in an economics class that a professor, when pushed about it, was able to admit that the wage gap was a myth. That was the only time that a conservative viewpoint was ever, and it wasn't even positive. It was more of just a matter of fact,
Yep. Yep.
mhm,
because he
mhm,
started talking about the wage gap. And I asked the question, I was like, well, how's that calculated? And he was like, well, the average median income of women ratio to the average median income of men. And I was like, oh, okay. So like that doesn't include experience, job, time in the career field, your degree that you got when you got out of college. Doesn't it include it? Well, no. So could you say that like that it's kind of a flawed statistic? I guess you could say that. That's the closest thing to a conservative message I ever got. And it was because I had to pry for it.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so
yeah,
when you're in a college class and one side is being taught as if it's objective fact, that's a privilege.
mhm,
And it's honestly indoctrination. And you'll hear that word all the time, but like it
mhm,
truly is. And from somebody who just experienced it, I just graduated a month ago.
mhm,
It's truly happening. It is happening. Not every professor is that way. There's some that are nice people and they teach what they are supposed to teach, but there are some, many, that will
Yeah.
tell you that will tell an opinion as if it's objective fact. When you have people that didn't get into politics like I did in high school and do my own research and have dedicated a lot of my time and life to it, there are people that are out there where they'll just take that, oh yeah, gender is on a spectrum. That's
You
what my
know, it
professor told me, so it must be true.
there's something to be said about weakness and strength in people who believe in independence and conservatism, and then people who believe in this leftist stuff. It's very rare, and I've met many, that you'll see someone who touts this leftist ideology that is independently strong when they're by themselves. For instance, what you just said, you went out in public on a campus with a table and you put yourself out there in the middle of a liberal campus. Now, what they do, conversely, is they hide behind a computer screen. They talk to each other, and they don't go out in public until they're all together as a group, because that gives them the strength. You separate them from the herd, and they become that shy, insecure person all over again. I've talked to
Mhm.
many trans activists, I mean, you name it, and they're all the same way. So they would never think of doing something like you're doing if the reverse, rather, if the situation were reversed, where they're on a
Mhm.
super liberal campus and they're by themselves with the table in the middle, ready to take on any newcomers who want to speak to them, because that's not what they're about.
No,
Hmm.
absolutely. And I'll tell you, we're multiple times on campus. I'd be talking to like a snow cone colored hair MFer, like just uh, whatever colors are going on up there. I mean, if you change this is a side note, but if you change your hair more than like 3 times in a month, then how can I decide? And how can I trust that your opinions won't change the same way? However,
Mhm.
I'd be talking with some of them, and there'd be some random girl that comes up, and it was always a woman too. It'd always be, "Are you safe? Are you safe?" And I'd be
Mm.
like, why are you asking? We're just having a conversation. Like,
Blink one if yes, blink two if no.
I'd be like, what the heck? That's you're right. Are you
Oh my
safe is
God.
really code for like, do you need somebody else here so we can team up against him because you can't
Yeah,
stand on your own 2 feet? Like,
that's
just
wild.
that's essentially what it was. Are you safe? Like, what? We're not at like a party or something, and like you think that some dude just like slipped something into her drink. Like, no, we're on the quad. Like, there are cameras and
Yeah.
there are witnesses. Like, if there was anything that anybody wanted to do, you'd know
Like
it.
you're forcing them to sit there and they're not able to stand up.
Yeah.
Some mind control that you have over them. Some
Mm.
pulling the strings.
Yeah, exactly. And I've been told I don't have Riz, so it's not that either. So
So, Kevin, you did a really good job of surviving college, a conservative. Do you have any advice for like freshmen or people who are in college right now that are battling this, or any advice on how to survive college, a conservative?
yes. So there's a few things. So first off, this is to more of parents and high school seniors or somebody in high school. Do not go to a 4-year university unless you have two things. The first is you have to have a clear reason as to why you are going to said 4-year university. If you are planning on just going undecided, not only are you wasting money, you're just wasting your time. Like, go with an intention. Go because, okay, I need this degree. I want to become a lawyer, or I want to become a doctor, or I want to do some, or I want to be a teacher, and so I have to have a reason for that. Like, there's a reason why I'm going to college. That's the first thing. The second is make sure your values, you know exactly what your core values are. Because if you are wary on any of them, then you will go into a college classroom and you will have professors that will challenge those core values, and you are susceptible to having them changed.
Mhm.
If you currently value your family and the nuclear family, you will have those challenged. If you currently value the idea of making money and being able to keep as much of it and being responsible with it, you will have that challenged. So those are the two things. If you're planning on going to college, if you're currently in college and you don't know the answers to those two questions, why am I here, and what are my values? You shouldn't be there, and you shouldn't
Hmm.
go.
Yeah,
That
and
that's the
the
biggest. Those are the
issue,
biggest things.
the and to piggyback on that, the issue that allows leftists and this ideology to have such a strong uh, stranglehold in the universities is partly because students go there with an open mind to learn, to accept things that they may not know before. So they use that to then insert their virus into these people.
Mhm.
So I think it's critically important that if you're going, maybe even write down your values on a piece of paper so you can look them
Mhm.
over and say, "Oh yeah, okay, that's what I believe." Literally like a cheat sheet, right? Because you're literally going into a pop quiz where you never know what's going to come up, but you have to know what the foundation is. So
Mhm.
I think that's critically important what you said for anyone in school or thinking about going to higher education.
Exactly.
Yeah, I had a
You go.
oh sorry,
All you.
I had a pastor. One of their favorite things to say was, "Some people's minds are so open that their brains have fallen out," and I thought that was hilarious. And but it does describe a lot of people today, and unfortunately, it's a lot of high schoolers too that are going into college.
No, you're absolutely right. And for anybody that's currently in college, find your coalition. Find your coalition. That'd be my biggest thing. Is I mean, like, for me, I wasn't all about a lot of the ways that college kids operated. Now, some of them I was, but like a fraternity wasn't my thing. I didn't like the idea of going and paying all this money for a frat, and like these guys could only be my friends if I was in this club, this special club. And not to mention the fact that I had certain values that didn't necessarily align with a lot of fraternities. So that wasn't my thing. Find people that share your values. Look, I know we just talked about how the leftists always have to go out and they always have to be, and they can't stand on their own 2 feet. Those first two questions, if you can answer those, you'll be able to stand on your own 2 feet. But if you want to feel comfortable and like you can actually speak your mind, then a lot of that comes from having a solid support system. I started a Turning Point USA chapter. I was involved in our college Republicans. I was also involved a little bit in our Catholic church, our Newman Center at ISU. I had a lot of different involvement across the board. I had the locality through the radio station, some friends through that, and some local Republicans. I had a phenomenal support system of amazing people that I'm still in contact with today. When you can have that support system, it doesn't matter what goes on in the classroom, because as long as you can have somebody to go to after it and be like, man, this is what happened in class today, and you can kind of vent about it, then you'll be a lot happier. I mean, that's how you can, and you can also have people that are like, yeah, that really does suck. And hey, maybe next time when you're in that class, try, like, you could say this, ask this question, things like that. So have a solid support system, find it. Turning Point USA chapters are great. That's the ones I highly recommend. College Republicans are usually pretty good. Young Americans for Freedom, Young Americans for Liberty are also great options. There's Students for Life. There's a lot of issue-based ones. I know a lot of colleges have gun-based organizations. Finding those kinds of things. Faith-based is always a great place to be, because if you're leading with God, then you're in the right place. So a lot of that.
Yeah, I was so happy that my little brother, he's in university now. He went to a Christian university. So, but when he was getting out, his last year, I went over to visit him, and I saw a book called White Fragility, and I said, wait, what is this?
That's Kimberly
Started
Crenshaw,
reading
right?
it.
Kimberly
That's
Crenshaw.
I believe it's
Or is that Ibrahim
Robin
King?
DiAngelo.
Robin
Yeah,
DiAngelo.
Robin
I
DiAngelo.
just get them all confused because they're
Yeah, they're all the same.
They're all shills anyways. So
Yeah. By the way, I just posted yesterday. I looked up Kimberly Crenshaw's net worth, $13 million. Now, here's the irony. I was driving back from, I went to the movie premiere in Arizona for the Beneath Sheep's Clothing, and I was coming back, and I was thinking a lot, and I'm like, how hypocritical was it that she has made $13 million as a capitalist in a country like this, and she does not share her wealth? If she's an avowed communist, why would she have so much money all to herself? Isn't that
Right.
counter to what she believes? What a hypocrite. What a hypocrite. But if I ever talk to her, that's how I'm going to lead. Because she is an elitist. She's a multimillionaire telling people that communism is the best form of government. Yet she's the one who's a benefactor of a capitalist system.
Mm-hmm.
no, absolutely. I mean, you look at all of them like that. Bernie Sanders has multiple books in which he's made a crap ton of money, multiple houses as well. You look at the BLM people that started that. I mean, they used the funds that they got off basically peddling the George Floyd overdose lie that he was murdered. No, he was an overdose. We all know that. Sorry, that might get you banned on YouTube, but we'll figure it out.
That's right. We don't have, we're not focused on YouTube anyway.
It was an overdose, to be clear for everybody out there. It was not a murder. It was Derek Chauvin is maybe not a good man, but still innocent of murder. However, the people that peddled all that through 2020 that made millions of dollars off white Karens and moms and suburban women from, again, all white too, for the most part, peddled all their money to that. Oh, well, they just got new houses on the coast, which also tells you, hey, why is it on the coast when I thought that parts of the country were going to be underwater in a few years because of the climate crisis and all that kind of crap? It's all hypocritical, and it's all intertwined with each other.
Mm-hmm.
And for anybody out there that's like, well, I might actually believe that, I don't necessarily believe all the race baiting stuff, but like maybe the climate crisis, like it does seem to be maybe getting a little bit warmer. No. It's not, you're not going to fix it by driving a Tesla. As much as I love how Elon Musk runs Twitter, well, X, you're not going to fix all that by driving a Tesla. The climate naturally changes. And I know I'm going off on a bunch of different tangents, but it's because it is all intertwined with each other. And that's what's going to happen in 2024. 2024 is going to be a hell of a year, because if you look back at 2016, Trayvon Martin and Laquan McDonald, all of those were peddled to start BLM and to push Black people especially, but mainly all minority communities, into the Democratic plantation. And that was just the start. There were isolated riots here and there. Then you had 2020, a riot to every city was basically their plan. It happened. Small town America got hit with riots. Try that in a small town. That's why Jason Aldean wrote the song. And so you have that in 2020. You had the coronavirus epidemic or pandemic, which was absolutely blown out of proportion. Yes, there were reasonable steps that we could have taken it to, but we did not need to shut down nearly as much as we did. All of it blown way out of proportion. There's a litany, and then riots. We had Chaz and Chop set up autonomous zones in our country, all to push the narrative that Donald Trump is bad and that he's a racist, he's terrible, all this stuff. And you might not love Joe Biden, but he's better than the other guy. If that's what they do in the last 2 election cycles, imagine what they do in 2024.
Yep, it's going to take a step up, and that's exactly why I think Iowa is. Well, these primaries, for that matter, are so important because we're going to see crumbs of what their strategy is. They're not going to go full force on the primaries, but they're going to show us. They're going to have to show us their hand to a certain extent, and see what they're planning. And I know it's going to take a massive effort from everybody who just loves America as a country with any kind of fortitude to come out and make sure that everything is running smoothly. And if you see something, say something. Go out to the polling places. Look at who's coming to collect your mail and the mail-in ballots. Get connected with an organization like Turning Point. I believe it's Turning Point Action.
Turning Point Action is the political wing, yeah.
Who are essentially setting up for this when it happens. It's going to be wild.
No, absolutely. And they already are setting crumbs. Okay, so Joe Biden, like a week ago, released his first campaign ad. Did you guys see it? Did you guys see the campaign ad?
It's all about January 6th. He's like, January 6th, MAGA extremists, MAGA terrorists.
Exactly.
It's all buzzwords.
Exactly. Now, here's the thing: is you'd think. Usually, you wait a little bit. This is just so I do a little bit of political consulting on the side, and so I know the general way a campaign works. Usually, you wait until a little bit later in the campaign to go negative on your opponent. And right now, I'd say Donald Trump is the opponent simply because he's so much higher in the polls. Anything could happen in Iowa, and I know we might talk about that a little bit, but he also obviously believes that Donald Trump will be his opponent. So to go negative so early is a big thing. First. Second, he's not only going negative on Trump, he's going negative on pretty much anybody watching right now. No Republican.
On half of America.
Exactly. No Republican is out here being like January 6th was a great thing and we should have taken it back. No, the vast majority of Republicans, if not all, see January 6th as, man, like that really shouldn't have happened, but like it's also not the next 9/11 as the left tries to make it out to be. And so when your first ad is that, when you are the incumbent, that's the other thing to remember. He's the incumbent. What he should be running on, but he can't because it simply doesn't exist. But he should be running on accomplishments. He should be running on like what Donald Trump said in 2020. Best economy in like the last 50, 60, 100 years ever, whatever.
Yeah. Great
border security, insulin costs down, or like there's so many things that you could be running on. No new wars. Oh, wait, sorry. That's another one you can't run on. But that's usually what your first ad, if you're an incumbent seeking re-election, that's usually what your first ad is look at everything that I've done. But again, he's going to go with the same strategy in 2020 in which the other guy is just worse. You should vote for me because the other guy is worse. That's essentially what he's doing. And it's a really, really sad state of our democratic republic or constitutional republic when that's the way that it runs is you shouldn't vote for me because I'm good and I've proven myself. No, you should vote for me because I just think the other guy's worse. You're going to pick the lesser of two evils. And so that's and so really what he's setting it up for too when it comes to all that is he's trying to claim, and there was another ad that was put out and it was like a fake, I don't know if you guys saw this one, it was a fake movie trailer for Trump's America, and it basically highlighted it as if Trump's America would be like this authoritarian Christo-fascist dictatorship. Which again was hyperbolic in the most insane senses, but it shows you what they're trying to do. What they're trying to do is say that if Donald Trump were to be reelected as president of the United States, it would not be fair. They're trying to say that through the January 6th insurrection narrative, and they're trying to say that in the fact that he's a fascist. basically Hitler, that he said in that one interview that he'd be a dictator on day one. And so that means that if he were to win, they're going to deny the election results. They're going to complain that Republicans denied their election results from 2020. But 2016, they denied the election results. They said it was Russia. And 2024, if Republicans are to win, which I believe they have every chance to, unless they once again snatch defeat from the jaws of victory, then they will claim that it was stolen.
Yeah. They are going full nuclear option. Like you said, usually you tout what you've done during your term to make a case to the voters to vote for you again. In this case, he's literally saying, if you vote for Trump, America is done. Like he that's what they're doing. It's no longer, let's look at the merits of each person. It's if you vote for Trump, he's going to be a fascist dictator and put you in camps. So the left has a very good way of accusing their enemy of what they themselves are doing. Right? They write about this. This is like Saul Alinsky 101, basically.
Rules for radicals, man.
Rules for radicals.
Yep.
Accuse them of what you're doing. And this is it.
So I will say Joe Biden has done one thing that no other president has done. And I think he's going to finish off his first term with over 400 days of vacation.
Man.
Wow.
Lucky him. Tell me any other
imagine?
job. Tell me any other job. Tell me any other job, because 400 days, that's over a year. So at least a quarter. Tell me any other job where you can make $400,000 a year. That's the salary of the president. $400,000 a year. The benefits.
But the benefits package is millions,
Yeah.
right? Because he gets his own private jet, own private security.
Yep. So on top of the benefits, $400,000 a year on top of the benefits that'll be lifelong, and take a quarter of your time in that job off. Tell me any other job where you can do that.
Yep.
I mean, you can't really do that when you're the president, but he did anyway.
Well, you can.
And he's basically
You're not
traveling for
supposed
free.
to.
He's traveling on Air Force One.
So
we're
that's
paying for his vacation.
That exactly. That's the thing, is I hate to call it free. No. It's not free. He's traveling on our dime.
And all secret security, the Secret Service, we're paying for that too.
Yep.
We're paying for Hunter when he flies to DC.
To interrupt
We're
Congress
probably
out of
paying for
nowhere.
Hunter's crack.
Yes, literally, that's taxpayer-funded cocaine that he brought into the White House.
Oh, my gosh.
Taxpayer-funded cocaine, man. That sounds like a South Park episode.
Might be.
Are you guys convinced it was Hunter? I know this is a tangent, but are you guys convinced it was Hunter's cocaine?
No, what I say in the White House is the parents are out for the weekend and the kids have taken over the house and are throwing a house party. That's what I see the White House as in this administration.
Maybe
Grandpa doesn't know what the hell's going on. They're partying right behind his back, and he has no idea.
I could see that. I would also just say that I wouldn't even blame some of his staff for needing that. Screw the Adderall. I need it straight up, because this guy, he goes out on stage and triddle the national pressure. That's what he says. So now I have to deal with that kind of stuff. I can only imagine. I'd probably be coked out too if I had to be on his PR team.
Meanwhile, they're doing things inside certain Senate hearing rooms that probably required a lot of cocaine. And honestly, I think that entire administration, we know it's full of these crazy neo-Marxist leftists, and we know how they are. So just imagine all those people with power in the White House. It's probably, we probably don't even hear half of the stuff that happens in there.
Yeah. No, it used to be drug, sex, and rock and roll, or sex, drugs, and rock and roll. Now it's sex, drugs, and ways and means in the Capitol. So
exactly right.
Inappropriate relations in the appropriations, right?
Appropriating inappropriateness.
No, but that's nothing new though. Bill Clinton.
No, it's not new
Bill
at all.
Clinton got a blowjob and basically in the Oval Office. So
well, apparently there was a lot more that happened in there, but I've got some friends on the Hill, and I won't say who they work for, but it happens on both sides. These guys are sex addicts and drug addicts, and it's basically the establishment, right? They fight on the floor of Congress, and then they go out and have a beer afterwards at the Capitol Grill. It's weird, you guys. It's really weird.
It's all a show. Politics is it's a show.
It's a weird thing.
It's a three-ring circus.
Yeah, So when I was working in politics when I was younger, and I don't know if this is still the same, but they said that DC is Hollywood for ugly people. And if you really think about it,
getting a little bit more attractive.
yes. Well, on the conservative
Matt
side,
Gaetz and
on the
Lauren
conservative side.
Boebert, MTG, all these younger folks.
Really?
Yeah.
Wait. Did you see? Here's a debate I've had with people before. Do you think MTG is attractive?
Yeah, I would
Really?
say.
You into muscle
If you
mommies,
were
Gentry?
no, so here's
Into muscle
here's-
mommies? Is that what you're saying?
no. Here's what I'm looking at. Okay, do you know the cheerleader effect? Do you know that?
Explain.
Where you get like a cheerleaders used to do this where they would take a photo with uglier girls to make themselves look hotter.
Yeah.
Right. And so like if you're going to compare like Marjorie Taylor Greene to Nancy Pelosi,
Okay.
she's a 10 out of 10.
You've convinced me. You've convinced me.
Yeah,
Relatively.
if your range is congressional attractiveness,
Right. Right.
Well, yeah,
Now-
but when the average age of a congressman is like in their mid to late 50s, if not early 60s.
Oh, dude, I'm not attracted to old men, dude. Like, don't get me confused here. I did compliment Fabian earlier, but I don't swing that way. I know I'm from Seattle, so you might be able to make an assumption, but I don't swing that way. I will say probably the most attractive people in DC, you don't really see them because they're on blackmail tapes that Madison Cawthorn's talking about.
This is true. But did you see Dave Chappelle's special? I think he had a point in that. Did you hear about? Did you? See?
No, I haven't seen the newest one.
So the new special, he talks about it. He's like,
Does he come out with a special like every week? I'm
like,
always hearing about
every 6 months or something like that. But he had a new special where in it he talked about he was like like he started making some jokes about like disabled people and stuff, and he was like, he said there was this disabled guy, Madison Cawthorn, in Congress, and he comes out and he says that like there's these insane sex parties that happen in Congress, and he goes, now I don't doubt that happens, but I doubt he's the one who knows about it, because who wants to invite a cripple to a sex party?
I think Stephen Hawking actually just blew the lid on that whole joke.
My God, that thing was insane. I was honestly like to an extent. Okay, it's awful. Like I want to be 100% clear. It's awful. Everything with Epstein is awful. But when I heard that Stephen Hawking was included, I was like, you know what? Kind of impressed.
I mean, well, just think about how long it took him to say what he even wanted. Because he has to look at the computer, it has to track his eyeball, and that's how he types.
6 years old, please. Like, just saying. It's a really messed up joke, but I made it.
And he literally just did it all with his eyeballs.
Yeah.
That's the crazy part.
Oh my gosh. Guys. All right. I got a joke.
All right, let's hear it.
Why was Jeffrey Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell late?
Why?
Because they were stuck in human traffic.
Oh. All right. Well, now I didn't make the worst joke on the on the podcast today. That's fine.
That might be the worst joke on the internet right now.
Gentry, that joke will get hip tossed at Illinois State University.
Yeah, probably.
Oh, for sure. You know why? Because that professor was there.
Yep.
The full list hasn't been released, man. Is the jury still out on that?
I know.
Yeah.
They're giving us crumbs, and we want the whole cake.
Let's switch gears here. Let's talk about Iowa. Caucus is coming up, and Chris Christie was caught on a hot mic talking about how Nikki Haley is going to get destroyed, and DeSantis is scared.
I don't think he got caught. That's my opinion. I think he did it on purpose.
I also agree with you on that, Fabian.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Someone pissed him off. Someone didn't pay him enough. Someone didn't keep their promise, and he's like, "All right, cool.
Yeah,
this is my going away present. Have fun."
Yeah. Vivek, in my opinion, he's going to outperform the polls. There's been a lot of people talking about how much work he's put in, but when you look at the rooms that he's campaigning in, it pales in comparison to the rallies that Trump has. So he's going to do amazingly well, in my opinion. I think Nikki Haley and DeSantis will probably drop out next week because of how poor they'll do.
Really?
I think so.
Here's my opinion. In those caucuses, you basically have to be the outspoken one. So the more outspoken you are about someone, the more you truly believe in them. I don't know anyone who truly believes in Nikki Haley, like to the point where if someone's challenging you and say, no, all right, we have to redo the, the tabulations, that you're going to say, all right, guys, this is why you should believe in Nikki Haley, because I saw her commercial. Compared to, I've seen a dozen videos of Vivek, or however many, and I understand what he believes in. No one knows what Nikki Haley really believes in, aside from this charade that these commercials are showing you, or her stump speech. So I think that's going to play a large part. Obviously, Trump has crazy amount of support, diehard support in that area. I think second is either DeSantis and Vivek, depending on your age group and how much you see on social media.
Yeah, I see where you guys are coming from. I don't necessarily disagree with you on Vivek. I think he could outperform the polls that are currently standing because they show him incredibly low. I think Haley will underperform. I think DeSantis is the sleeper in this case.
Really?
Yeah, in my personal knowledge, I mean, I know somebody, at least one person on pretty much every campaign, just from the people I've met, and DeSantis's campaign, I can tell you, has been doing a lot of methodical work in terms of getting local, state politicians in Iowa and other primary states to endorse, in some way support, in any way. And so I think that he has laid a lot of great groundwork to outperform the current polling for him. Nikki Haley, I think, will underperform. I think that while she has kind of a cute side that she shows on the debates, a lot of Trump advertising as well as DeSantis advertising and Vivek just and the things that he says on his own social media have exposed her for kind of the establishment that she is. And even if you do even the slightest Google search, you see her ties to Boeing, which is the largest defense contract manufacturer in the nation, and also her ties to the military through her husband. So you understand when she's on that debate stage saying, man, we need to push more funding to Ukraine. We need to help out Israel, and China's going to invade Taiwan. So we got to be ready for that too and push more funding there. Yeah, maybe she would say things like that while also ignoring the fact that the Pentagon lost like 1.9 billion worth of weaponry that is supposed to be tracked that we sent to Ukraine. Like, that's the thing, is I'm not against helping out certain countries, and a lot of people shouldn't be, like, to some extent. The problem is it's wasteful spending and we can't track it, or we're bad at tracking it. And so when we can't understand where our money's going, there's no reason to do it. But she doesn't care where the money's going because initially the money's going to Boeing, who she worked for. And so it's going to come back to her. So I feel like again, a bit of a tangent, but Nikki, I think a lot of people are likely Republican voters. You'll have moderates, but those are not the ones that are showing up to the polls for a primary or for a caucus.
No, those are the high propensity voters, the diehard.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And so that's why I think Nikki will underperform. I think Ron will overperform. Trump will perform as expected, if not even maybe underperform a little bit, only because I've seen how methodical that the DeSantis camp has been in primary states. And Vivek might overperform a little bit, but still only in like a 2, 3, 4, 5% margin, like area, like not necessarily as low as the 1% he's been getting.
Right. I see what you're saying. So my next question is kind of about the whole primary in general and all the debates and all the money spent. I mean, these guys know that they're running for second place and they're spending, tens of millions of dollars each. I heard that Nikki Haley, up until this point, has spent like $78 million
something crazy
on TV ads, and DeSantis in the last few months has spent $36 million on ads just in Iowa. Maybe I'm getting that wrong, but that I've seen that 36 million number a ton. Like,
I heard it was higher. I heard it was like in the 50s, and like Nikki was in the 60s or probably 70s by now.
But like,
it's astronomical either way. I mean,
but like, my point is, like, are they blind? Do they understand that they're going for second place? Do they actually think that they can win? And because a huge majority of the base believes that they're going to come in second, and so if they believe it, then it's going to happen because we're the ones who are going to vote them in the primary, right? So, like, plus they haven't done a very good job. They've wasted a tremendous amount of money. we don't have the infrastructure that Democrats have, right? Of ballot harvesting and all this kind of stuff. We could have built that with the, hundreds of millions of dollars that they spent.
With Ronna McRomney, if she would have done a different job.
Well, not even with Ronna McRomney, but there's different projects in each state that are trying to copy the Colorado model, but just on the opposite end, right? Yeah. So like my thought process is like, do they hate America? Like they spent all this money on their campaign. Do they love themselves, and do they see themselves in this like egotistical way, and they want to be president so bad not because they love America, but because they love themselves more? Does that make sense?
Yeah. Like there was a video. There was a video to kind of almost piggyback on this about what we were speaking about Nikki Haley not being quite the person that she said she is. And I don't know if you know Valentina from Missouri.
Mm-hmm.
She posted a video, and it's going kind of viral right now, where she went to a Nikki Haley event in Iowa, and she asked her a question. And I don't know if it's maybe her husband or Valentina's business partner, some guy.
It's her brother.
Her brother was filming, and they literally kicked him out. But I did want to pull this up because it's very interesting to see how protected and shielded she is from real people. So check this video out right here.
These guys are fantastic too, by the way.
Yeah, we're not doing videos.
We are.
We're not doing videos.
Yo.
Whoa.
Why can I take a video? Why can I take a video? Huh? Why can I take a video? Yeah. Why can I take a video? Huh? Wait, but tell me why I can take a video.
Thank you. Goodbye.
Wait, why am I being removed?
You forced your way in.
I didn't force my way. I made the line.
You forced your way in.
God.
Please leave.
Nikki Haley, ladies and gentlemen.
Just so you know, I was recording, and now they're removing it.
Anyway, so yeah, that's
Oh my gosh.
That doesn't surprise me. It doesn't surprise me. A lot of times that's how campaigns operate, and it's really kind of bogus because, I mean, especially it depends on like if that guy was in any way labeled as press, he would have every right to sue the pants off those people.
Mm-hmm.
If it was a public event, if he had a press badge, if it was a public event and he wouldn't need a press badge, but if he was any kind of press, he could sue the pants off him because there's no reason.
Mm-hmm.
Why would tell me a good reason why and this could be rhetorical. If you guys actually have one, let me know. But tell me a good reason why anybody would have a problem with a video being taken of a candidate that wasn't in a private space.
Yep.
Right.
Any reason?
I mean, unless they don't want to be recorded, unless their PR team is like, we have to inspect every single piece of content that goes out there, because if you say the wrong thing or you're going to get crucified by the base, which means that they're trying to be deceptive, which means that they're not actually speaking to the base and understanding what we want.
Yep. It's such a cookie cutter campaign with so many secrecies behind it. It's like it's almost Hillary Clinton 2.0, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because they know that it works. So now taking it to the next level. History always brings about people that do things bigger and bigger. Like look at BlackRock. 10 years ago, we were talking about hedge funds, and a few years ago, we were talking about Citadel and Ken Griffin, and now we're talking about BlackRock, who has over $10 trillion, and they're buying all of the homes in the United States. Never happened before. Every subsequent generation has people iterate on what they did and say, I could do it bigger, I could do it better. I mean, even have classical music with the size of the orchestras in a symphony. They're all just one-upping each other. So I can definitely see Nikki Haley as a not herself more dangerous, but the people behind her that know the game plan and how to make things work be more dangerous.
Well, exactly. And if you look at the people that are funding her right now and the people that have come out and endorsed her, it's like your Paul Ryan types. Not quite as far as Liz Cheney, but it's a lot of Ken Griffin has supported her financially, who's formerly, like you said, I believe you said you mentioned Ken, but if not,
Yeah,
fine.
yeah.
But
Ken Griffin.
and so like I kind of know Ken Griffin, not like personally,
Mhm.
but he started getting his hand into the 2022 governor race of Illinois. And so we had a mayor of Aurora, Illinois. It's like the third largest suburb in the state, just a suburb of Cook County of Chicago. And he was running, but everybody, pretty much the vast majority of Republicans in the state already supported this guy named Darren Bailey. Darren Bailey is a Southern Illinois farmer, did a great job of framing his campaign and building a grassroots movement. However, it wouldn't really sell very well to Cook County. There's a lot of strategy issues that I would critique with it. However, when Ken Griffin financially supports the mayor of Aurora, who in 2020 came out publicly like supported BLM, has talked very highly of JB Pritzker, has voted Democrat in like 2018, 2019. Like if you look up his voting rolls, that's what he did in the primaries. And that's what Ken Griffin supports because he believes that guy will win. Now, Ken Griffin isn't trying to support any type of conservative values messaging. No, what Ken Griffin and a lot of those people who have that large swaths of funding, what they're trying to do is not push a conservative message or even a liberal message. What they're trying to do is push their message. Whatever gets them more money, more power, more influence, but also to an extent tries to keep themselves out of the public eye. And that's who you should really be worried about. Be wary of the quiet man. Because when everybody else is talking, when everybody else is having it out, they're quiet and they're listening and they're ready. But when everybody else sleeps, that's when they strike and that's when they attack. And so it's not the Nikki Haley that you should be worried about.
It's a car rode behind her or whoever that person is.
It's not the Hillary Clinton you should be worried about. It's the George Soros. Because only recently have we started talking about him. Only recently have we started talking about the BlackRocks, the Vanguards. Those are what you need to be worried about because those are the ones they don't make a peep. They just watch, like you said, they watch the circus. So
Yep. Absolutely. Yeah. And I think the strategy for something like that is to make the name so toxic that people don't want to be associated with it. Like we've seen the World Economic Forum's attendee list drop significantly, even in the last year.
absolutely.
Especially once people like Elon Musk really got on them. And you have to think Elon Musk has inspired an entire generation of entrepreneurs that look up to him, that look after him. They're going to be the next, the next millionaires and billionaires because they follow him and they're going to take some of his, I guess you can call it ideology or just worldview with them up the ranks. So before you had this Bill Gates, I can fix everything. And Elon, a very realist and say, well, I mean, why are you trying to take so much control? So I do think it's a good thing that the next generation is looking at him and that he's posting so much. He's literally like, if he didn't exist and if he didn't do what he did, it would be a lot harder to do what you and I are doing right now.
Oh, 1,000%. Because he's the buffer, right? He's the reason why we haven't all been deleted off of Instagram, to be honest. Because and I think that could still happen.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, and the thing about him too is that he is a fascinating individual because I'll be clear in terms of that there's things I don't trust about him when it comes to like his Neuralink and his need for, because here's the thing is definitively he is a type of progressive. He's not progressive in a lot of the policy sense. Like he's not big on the trans stuff. He calls that out. He does support some conservative stuff, but he's progressive in the technological sense. I mean, he wants to, I mean, he has plans to have implants and chips in our heads and it might have the best intention, but that's something I would be incredibly worried about because who knows, like the government can track everything you do on this right now. And so who's to say that if you were to put an implant in your head, they wouldn't do the same thing. Now it's not to say that we shouldn't seek advancement, but it's something to be cautious of and the intention and the intentions behind it. What I will say when it comes to Elon is he has a phenomenal way of doing what you wouldn't expect the wealthiest person who also happens to be an African American doing what you wouldn't expect of that person. Right. When he comes out at that business forum that usually nobody ever watches and he gets asked the question by that reporter, well, how do you feel about the people finishing or ending their advertising on X? And he comes out, instead of like trying to do some kind of half-hearted apology while also sticking to some level of value. No, that's what most business people would do, is a half-hearted apology. No, we do want you there, but like we're trying to do free speech. No, he just goes, F you. F you. Don't advertise. I don't care.
Mhm.
Which is unprecedented. No business person does that. It's honestly antithetical to the entire idea of trying to grow your business. However,
Mhm.
while it's antithetical to that, it's against the idea of trying to make money, it is incredibly pro value, which I have so much more respect for.
Mhm.
Because he knows, like, yeah, okay, like if you don't want to advertise with us, if you got a problem with free speech, well, the purpose of the platform is free speech in the first place. So if you have a problem with that, then you shouldn't advertise, because we don't reflect your values and you don't reflect ours. So
Right.
I got a lot of
Yeah.
respect for that. But I also want to be clear. There's a certain level of cautiousness you should have for somebody like Elon Musk.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah, I think that's an entire conversation that we could have, independent of just even what we're talking about now, because that goes very deep and it takes a lot of different turns, and he's touching so many different aspects of our lives now that that is a really important conversation to have, an interesting topic, and to have it from almost like an unbiased perspective, where even if you like them, you're okay with pointing out things that are a little bit suspect.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah.
And that goes for everybody too. I mean, like, and I know that we're probably going to end this out here sometime soon, but like, you could have that conversation with Donald Trump, Ron DeSantis, Joe Biden, things that you like and things that you don't like. No one is perfect. And you got to be able to have that conversation.
Yep. Exactly.
100%.
Absolutely, man. Yeah, I think we had a great time chatting, and you're right. I think we want to save some firepower for the next one.
Yep.
But it was great having you on, man. It was great having a chat. What do you think, Gentry? Any last words?
I think, Kev, we gotta get you big, dude. You got some talent,
Thank you.
and I love
appreciate
it.
that.
Everybody go follow
And
Kevin.
fire,
Yeah,
not just
and,
talent,
and
but
fire.
Yeah.
You are the news ninja.
I appreciate
Crowned right
it.
now. This is
Yeah.
the crowning ceremony.
I think so. I don't know what made us the coronation, but now we are. Now we are.
You've been
We're gonna
bestowed the
coronate
honor.
you, man.
Well,
But yeah,
thank you
man,
guys so much.
No, it was a pleasure having you. We got to have you on again, man.
Absolutely.
Awesome. Well, thank you for everyone for tuning in. It's a beautiful Saturday. I think it's Saturday. Yeah, it is Saturday. Enjoy the rest of your day. And if you're watching this after, make sure you subscribe to Kevin. Kevin, can you tell people how to find you?
Yeah, all you got to do, if you Google Speechless with Kev, Kev, Speechless with Kev, you'll find me. That'll be the first thing. You go on YouTube and find it. YouTube is what I've been building out. I'm also on Rumble. I got some Instagram and stuff like that, but you can find all that through a link tree on my YouTube. So go find the YouTube Speechless with Kev. Subscribe, like, share, comment, all that fun stuff. And we're going to keep growing. We're going to keep building, and we're going to do it not only for me, but also for Breakaway USA. It's going to be big.
Absolutely. There you go, baby. Let's go.
Come on.
All right. Thank you guys, and we'll see you next time.